welcome to the January 27th, 2020 edition of Stardust here on the Crash and AJ podcast, 98rock.com. And there's a lot going on. Of course, we start off the week with some crazy news, but it is Super Week.
It is.
2020.
Yeah, we got a big game that's happening
we
this
do
weekend.
have a big game. We got a lot of big things happening because the sun has just changed signs. It's gone from the sign of Capricorn into the sign of Aquarius, which I think is kind of interesting.
Oh, big time.
And the reason that's important is that wherever the sun is where you're going to focus your attention for the next 4 weeks or so, where you're consciously going to work to bring something about in your life. And since the new moon was just this past weekend, that you're going to consciously want to start new projects. And for everybody, Aquarius is in a different part of their life and a different part of their chart. And so I think it's important to know where you can start new stuff and make stuff happen. So for Aquarius, the sign that we are in, they had the last 30 days had to really just bite their tongue and just keep their heads down and kind of stay out of the line of fire. It was the end of their solar year. They didn't have any energy. Well, that's all changed. The sun has gone into their sign, and they are fired up and ready to put their needs at the top of the list. And so the things that are going to take their attention this week are themselves getting their wants and their needs met, and also taking into consideration their partnerships and intimate one-to-one relationships. All of that is going to be particularly important and significant for them this coming week. So it's really all about the Aquarian, getting what the Aquarian wants and what the Aquarian needs.
Well, it's about dang time. It is their birthday month.
It is their birthday month, and they should get that.
Yeah,
which is a
happy
good
birthday
thing.
to you.
Happy
Get
birthday
it.
to them.
So is this like a work, even
Nope,
pleasure?
this is any kind. This is personal relation, any kind of intimate one-to-one relationship. Anything. The Aquarian is going to be very selfishly putting their needs at the top of the list. So if you're involved with an Aquarian, that means the Aquarian is going to get what they want, not necessarily what you want.
Okay.
They may pay you a little lip service and ask what you think and still do what it is that they want to do anyway.
Gotcha.
Which is the way Aquarians are, because they're a fixed air sign. It's their way of the highway. Not particularly mutable, not particularly agreeable, very rigid in their thoughts and deeds. So, and I'm all for that. I think after a month of staying in the background, you're going to have to rip their fingernails out to get them to stop talking pretty much.
Like, why is this Aquarian talking so much?
Exactly. What do they have to say? For Pisces, this is a very difficult time for Pisces. Capricorn, for them, was their 11th house of hopes, wishes, goals, and objectives. And now with the sun in Aquarius, it puts their energy, it puts them behind the power curve. Professionally, they're not going to have a lot of energy, a lot of vitality. The best thing a Pisces can do is just kind of sit back and not say too terribly much and not try to commit to too terribly much because they really don't have the energy to make something happen, which is really bad, I think, for the coach of the Chiefs because he's a Pisces. You know, and to have such a great run towards the end of the year and do so very, very well, and then you go into the biggest game of your, of the year, and the sun's behind your sign, and that's just not a good omen.
Andy Reid's already been there one time, and he's gotten that rereputation of being one of those
choking
coaches
at the end.
That is a really
Again,
good
yeah.
coach. Looks like a Hall of Fame coach, but just can't get it done. But.
Yep, and it really gets down to when the game is. I remember Steve Spurrier, I believe is an Aries. He's the Aries or Leo, one of the two. And he could never win when he was with the USFL.
Yeah.
But the minute he got to Duke and for the Blue Jackets, he started winning because their playoff season for college football is the November-December time span, and for the USFL, it was during the summer, which was like the lowest time of year for them. So
all that counts.
yeah, it really does. It gets down to when the game is. And so for Pisces, I just think they're going to be taking a little bit of a step back, which is also not good for the for the Chiefs. Yeah,
Okay.
not so great because he's a Pisces too.
You got some some notes.
But again,
up.
I don't think it gets down to the kicker. I don't think the kicker the end of this game is not going to be determined, I don't think, by the kicker.
Okay.
I think it's going to be determined by the coaches and the plays that they call.
Now, do
I
you
told
think
my
this
friends
is a
that-
game that's going to be well until the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I do.
where we're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
see a lot
I
of
don't think
energy?
I don't think it's going to be a blowaway in the third quarter at all.
Okay.
It's a hard pick for me. Usually I have no trouble picking who the winner's going to be, and this time it's a bit of a challenge. So.
You're going to have some first-time listeners this week, by the way, because
I
a few
hope
of my
so.
friends that are throwing out little wagers for the Super Bowl, they're going to be going, I'm going to get at least a little leg up, a little consult from Star Guys here.
Yeah. Last year I got thrown out of the. I did a show on Jack Harris's predicting the outcome of that game, and apparently I was the only one that wanted Tom Brady to win because nobody wanted him to win. And when he said, "Well, who's going to win the Super Bowl?" I was like, "Well, Tom Brady." It's like, "Okay, you can leave now." All right, sorry.
So don't bet the house on this stuff.
Yeah, don't bet the house on it.
No.
It's fun. It's
And it
fun
makes it
stuff.
hard for me because I can't enjoy the game because I'd much rather be right.
You wouldn't be here if you could do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, You do this remotely from a tropical island.
Yeah.
Cocktail.
Or Vegas.
Yeah, or Vegas. I like that idea. For Aries, this energy, they've spent the last month or so defending their professional choices, the career decisions that they've made. Well, this month they find out that they made the right decisions and they made the right choices. And they're going to get the help of a group to help advance the Aries interests. And so the reason this is important is Mars goes into Aries in June, stays there till December. So the things that the Aries are doing now are lining up their ducks, getting their team in place to be able in the summer to make some serious moves for the Aries.
Is that
So-
advantageous to the people in the team?
Yeah,
as
it
well?
is. It is. And I have to look at you and me because we're both rising sign of Aries, and so it's a matter of getting the right team to propel us over the goal line.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Is what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And that's what they're in the process of doing is getting and the group. The best thing about it is the group is going to think, oh, we're serving the group's interests, but it really is serving the Aries interests. So I'm kind of all for that too.
Nothing like riding a coattail if the coattail's good, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. For Tauruses, this energy in the ninth house had been in the ninth house of the law for the last month or so. So they have legal matters, contracts, negotiations, all going very favorably for them. Well, now they are in the professional spotlight for one reason or another. And the interesting thing about Aquarians is I always read that as like new technology, new ways of doing something, breaking out of a rut or breaking out of a mold. And so Tauruses, and the reason that's important is that Tauruses are very fixed. They're a fixed sign. Once they make up their minds, it's very hard to get them to change their minds. And so they need to be able to embrace new technology that is headed their way and a new, more out-of-the-box thinking way of doing their job. And it's going to be very liberating for them. But ordinarily, the thing with Taurus is when you say, let's do this, they go, no. Their first word is no until they have time to change their mental picture. And what I'm saying is that they shouldn't say no right away this week because there's over the next month or so, because it will really make their job more interesting
Yeah.
and more successful. They just have to not be afraid to embrace that kind of change.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because the
pretty
upshot-
spot on, actually. There's some stuff happening pretty similarity to that. So,
Yeah, it can be, and it can be.
and I've been keeping an open mind. I've been,
It's
but
not
there's-
easy though. It's really
not
hard for a
easy.
Taurus because it's like, man, I've done this way, and I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
if this is going to work,
You
and
gotta
I'm
find the
not.
right
course,
time to
they're
ask a
hesitant.
Taurus a question, right? You gotta find the right. It's gotta be the right.
You
state
just
of
have to
mind.
ask them the question and then
Yeah.
give them a couple of days to
Right.
see their way clear to do it. You just can't get an immediate, I need an answer right now, because if you get that answer right now, it's going to be no. But give them a little time to think about it, take out what they originally thought about it, make sure how that interacts with other things they had already thought about it, put the new idea in, see how that works. And then they go, yeah, that sounds like a great plan, but it's usually 2-3 days later.
Yeah.
You just can't press them for an answer right away.
Gotta prepare to ask that question.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Give me the facts. Let's see the facts.
Exactly.
I'm analytical.
They
I like
very
my
much so.
research.
Yeah. And you don't want to make they don't want to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So they would rather not make any decision at all than make a wrong one.
Mm.
And that's what I'm just saying. Just be receptive is what I tell my Taurus friends. Just be receptive to it.
Right.
For Geminis, Mars is in their 7th house of partners. Geminis have the sun going into Aquarius. It's their 9th house of the law. Legal matters, educational, important matters, all go very favorably for the Gemini, which is kind of interesting because our president's being impeached, and this kind of says, yeah, no, not so much.
Wow.
favorable.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
go.
yeah. For Geminis everywhere, the law's on your side, and when the law's on your side, you want to go ahead and use it.
Yeah.
That's the big thing this whole month for Geminis. It's not just this week, but this whole month because the sun has gone into Aquarius. So it's kind of interesting stuff there too. And they make it the opportunity to travel. If they do, take your bags with you. Have a really good time. And they learn the other thing about Geminis is this month they learn something very useful about their world that they did not know before, and they can reach a broader audience with their words too. So it's pretty favorable time all around for Geminis.
That's good.
Kind of a
Because
cool
it's
thing.
been
Yeah.
they've had some bad rain.
They
lately.
have. The
Yeah.
last month or so, they have just taken a beating.
Yeah.
And they couldn't, it was almost like fighting with one hand tied behind their back. They couldn't really come out and do it, but that's over. When the sun, you're going to have to rip their fingernails out to get them to stop talking.
Our producer Ron is doing
Yeah.
about this. Yeah.
Yeah. And he can be way more creative. You can give him some of the new technology things and he can run with them.
Oh wow.
Because
Really
Geminis
for
are
you.
very receptive to that.
For your
Sorry,
revelation
Janet.
here.
I'm going to need 2 to 3 days to think about it.
That's right. For Cancers, this is not the greatest energy in the world for Cancers, unfortunately. The sun, when it's in Aquarius, is in their 8th house. And it's not the lowest time of year for them, but it's a time where they just they don't know what to say, so they'd rather not say anything. They don't really know how to interact. They've had a bunch of confrontations over the last month or so, and they're still trying to figure out how to deal with that, how they feel about it, because for Cancer, being a sensing feeling sign, everything they decide is based on how it is they feel rather than what it is they think. And they're going to take the next 30 days or so to try and figure out, what is it that I think about this? And they're also going to get the opportunity to face some of their fears. And the big thing about fears are the more you dwell on your fears, the more likely you are to give power to them and make them manifest. So my advice is to take a hard look at what you're afraid of happening and come up with a what would I do if this happens scenario.
Okay.
So that it doesn't catch you off guard, and you know what it is that you're doing. And I have to say that because the kicker for the
49ers?
Chiefs, no, the Chiefs,
Oh,
I
the
think.
Chiefs. I thought the Chiefs already had. I thought his was February.
No, his
or
is
March.
Sagittarius. The Pisces was the coach.
Oh, okay.
I was looking at the Harris Bucker.
Oh, the
Oh,
I think they're the
yeah.
kickers. Yeah. Well, there's a
The
Cancer
49ers
that's a
cool.
kicker. And that's my concern about him not doing so well. And that's Harrison because, again, of where that energy is for him in the 8th house of what is hidden.
Okay.
So, unfortunately. For Leos, you ask, fun time to be a Leo. They've done a lot of stuff at work the last month. They were really giving their undivided attention to work and projects and starting new things and getting a whole bunch of new things going. Now they're going to find out how it plays in Peoria. Now they're going to take it into the light of day. All of the background work has been done, and they're ready to take it out and show it off. And it's really an extension of the Leo. It's really an extension of the Leo's identity, the Leo's personality, projecting that out into the world. The other thing Leos are going to have to deal with is partners and intimate one-to-one relationships. And your partners are pretty much going to want the same rights you have in a relationship. And I've never met a Leo in my life that thought that was a good idea. They,
Wow, I was thinking about that one. What kind of rights am I demanding?
yeah. Well, okay. The partner's going to go, well, you could do that. It's like, yeah, I know that's me. Because I'm the Leo. And the partner's going to have a lot to say about
Sometimes,
it.
like, I guess the Leos, sometimes I can relate, but sometimes I go, wait a minute, but then I got, what, I'm a Sagittarius
You're a Sag rising.
too. All right.
So you're not as bombastic and as arrogant as most Leos are. Because they are. They're kings and queens of the zodiac. And their rationale for that is the sun is the ruling planet of Leo. And since the sun is the center of the solar system and all of the planets revolve around the sun, Leos absolutely think that everything in the universe revolves around them. And you're very unlikely, although you are the star of this show. I do want to mention that.
My dog thinks he's the star of the show. He's a Leo as well. And Prince just thinks everything revolves around him. And
Yeah.
this dog thinks he's a full-grown Doberman pinscher.
Yeah.
He's a miniature pinscher.
Yeah.
Think of you any
Yeah.
Soulmates. I get it.
Oh, no, he was perfect for you. He was a perfect choice for you. Yeah. So, and they are, so why not? For Virgos, this is about hard work. Virgos have pretty much been playing the last month or so, and I've had more days off the last month than I have, ever. And now it's time to go back to work. When the sun is in Aquarius for Virgos everywhere, it is time to get back to work. They're a little slow considering it's like the 20th.
Yeah, my girlfriend's a Virgo, and she's been taking some liberties on the days.
Yeah.
She started to pile on the schedule here, so yeah.
Yeah, it's time to go back to work. It's the only way to say it. And it's hard work will pay off, and it's nothing glamorous. It's not like, ooh, I'm going to come back and get a promotion. No, you're just going to do your job to the best of your ability. But again, they are also a sign that with Aquarius, I also see new technology making their job easier too.
Oh.
So I'm sure that there are some new instructions coming down the pike at work and new operating instructors or new procedures for them.
Gotcha.
And they need to embrace those as well. But Virgos are more likely to embrace change because they're a mutable sign. You give them a decent argument, they'll go along with it. Where you can give a good argument to the Taurus and they go, yeah, I don't care. I don't care.
Tops.
I just don't care.
We'll think about that one.
Yeah, we'll think about that. And the reason that is important is because Patrick Mahomes,
Mahomes?
yes, he is a Virgo. And again, I think he is going to do his job to the very best of his ability. And again, I don't think it's poor performance on his part if they lose the Super Bowl, which is
Wow.
crummy. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crummy when you're doing your job and you do it as well as can be expected, and something happens that you had no input in. It's enough to make you
Sounds like the defense to me. From what you're telling me, I'm about to get some defensive numbers from you a little later on this week.
Yeah.
Probably have to air some of that stuff before the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So Virgos just need to do their job keep their head down and do their job to the best of their ability,
All right.
and not worry about other people, what other people are doing, which is much easier said than done when you're a Virgo, because we're the ones that walk up to you and go, you know what you're doing wrong? This is what you're doing wrong. I would be there on first base and I would be coaching the other team. And my coach would look at me and go, would you just shut up? You know, could you just not say anything to the other team? Like, oh, no, I can't. Just how Virgos are. For Libras, they have just come out of the dark night of their soul is the only way to describe it. The sun was in their fourth house of home. It was at the nadir of their chart. It's one of the lowest times, one of the two lowest times of the year for them. And that has all changed. They are ready to come out and play. Aquarius is great energy for Libra. They want to be creative. They want to focus on love and romance and children and sports and anything fun, anything creative. And they get the opportunity to create something new, either a physical child, God bless them, or a child of their mind, some sort of project that they give birth to, or some idea that they, over the next 30 days or so, can flesh out and give life to. And whether it's a love affair, whether it's a child, whether it's a child of your mind, it's something that's going to be close to the Libra's heart. And something the Libra really loves doing, which is always more fun when you like what it is that you're doing, or when you're doing what it is that you like. Then it's not really work, is it?
No.
Right, and you can turn it into something really cool. And so if they've been looking for love, this is the month they find it, which is a cool thing too.
Ooh.
Yeah. For Scorpios, his energy is in the fourth house of home, home and foundations, and this is a fairly low time, a low energy time for Scorpios, which makes me a little nervous because the quarterback for the 49ers is an
Garoppolo.
Aquarius. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, he's a Scorpio, and so if this energy, that kind of tells me that their running game is going to be the thing that they do.
Yeah, from
Rather
everything
than
you're
the
telling me right
quarterback.
now, I'm just kind of trying to fit the pieces together there. This is the Kansas City Chiefs defense is going to let them down. Garoppolo's not really going to be as much of a factor.
I don't think he's going to be a big factor in it.
Yeah, the running game. All right.
I think so,
So
but
I got my friends listening right now for
everybody.
the first time.
The odd thing is that I think everybody knows that, and if I was the Chiefs, I'd be ready to defend against it.
Yeah.
You know, and that if I was going to be the coach for the 49ers, I'd probably make my quarterback do a lot more work since he kind of slid into the game on his laurels rather than on his fabulous arm. So I don't know, but I look at it, I just go, oh, that doesn't make very much sense to me, with Aquarius in the fourth house of home. And then there's also the theory that when you're playing in the Eastern time zone,
Yeah.
the team that comes from the West Coast does better than the team from either the Central Coast or the East Coast, because for them it's earlier in their day, and there's the circadian rhythm kind of thing, that they just end up doing a lot better. I thought it was a safe bet that on Monday Night Football, if you bet on the team that was coming from the West Coast, they would win. So,
Yeah,
That's
San
a little
Francisco
nice.
being farther. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
down
different
with
time
Charlotte,
zone.
yeah.
For San Francisco, if the game starts at 6, it's like 3 in the afternoon.
Right.
You know, for a local team, it's at 6, you're almost at the end of your day kind of a deal. So, I don't know. Just another thing to look at. For Sagittarians, that takes me to Sagittarius. Their pace of their day-to-day living picks up. There's a bunch of things going on. Mars is still in their sign right now, so they're really fired up and very empowered. The Aquarius is their third house of day-to-day living, short distance, short duration travel. A good sign for parades. But the important thing is Jupiter's in their second house of money, which is why in the very beginning of the year when I picked the 49ers, I did it because Kyle Shanahan is a Sagittarius, and then John Lynch, their general manager, is a Sagittarian. I'm looking at both of them going, well, what could happen in January that would make them all a boatload of money?
Wow.
You know, I'm thinking that might be it. So,
Mhm.
for Sagittarians everywhere, the pace of their day-to-day living picks up to warp speed. And they they get the opportunity to travel, short distance, short duration, but they do very well in all of the things that they touch this week. They're one of the signs that's really hot. And Aquarius is a really good place for them. So
Wow.
I can't help but think,
Would make good calls. It's probably a great time to make some great calls.
good time to make some great calls, to be able to adapt quickly to whatever the change is.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. So
All right.
I feel a little more confident about that. And then for Capricorns, it's about making more money. They don't really care about anything other than how can I make as much money as I possibly can? What do I need to do to make more money? How can I make more money doing the same job? Or how can I increase the amount of money that I have? And this is earned income. This is not like, ooh, I got a winning lottery ticket or anything like that. This is what can I do to increase the amount of money I have at the end of the month?
Willing to work.
Yeah, and that's all work. This is all work related. There's nothing, and for Capricorns, really, that's what they care about. It's the sign of money. That's all they really care about is how can I make more money. But they get a bona fide opportunity to do it. And the challenge is that when you're getting new jobs, to make sure that there is money that goes along with it, that it's not just, oh, for the greater glory kind of thing. Because you can do that with a Virgo. You can say, oh, you were right. And Virgos go, wait, you don't have to pay me. Capricorns go, yeah, no. I appreciate the offer, but if I'm not going to make any more money, I'm not going to put any more effort into something. So for them, they get a good opportunity to do that. So tomorrow's news today for the 12 signs of the zodiac.
Awesome.
All right, now we'll be hitting you up before the Super Bowl again here.
Love to.
Yeah.
Before we make our
Love
show
to
then.
see what
Look at some
happens.
of those, defense numbers, and
Yeah.
There you go. We'll be back again for the podcast next week, right around this time on the Crash and AJ blog at Star Goddess, right here on 98rock.com.